IMSA fans, we're here in Indianapolis site, the Battle on the Bricks WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Series. Immense history here, sports car teams. We think so many of them must be in Florida where so much of the endurance racing happens, but indeed, massive amount. GTP teams, GT, Michelin Pilot Challenge, TCR. Here we are, Chip Ganassi Racing, Cadillac Racing, factory IMSA GTP program. We're going to take a look inside here, see where they prepare the cars, get ready for this weekend and every other WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race. Let's go meet our friend Mike O'Gara, Director of Operations. Mike, you're just back from Japan.
Yes, sir.
Getting ready on almost no sleep for the Battle on the Bricks. Thank you for welcoming us in. Trophies everywhere.
Yeah.
I think I might love the Rolex 24. That's amazing, all of those trophies up there, but signifying the immense success the team has had in sports cars since the 2000s, the Grand Am Rolex series, now today in the modern IMSA series. Let's go for a tour, see where these Cadillacs are cared for and some of the other places where you assemble this team to go and compete and fight for wins.
Okay, let's go have a look.
Chip Ganassi Racing, known for running in multiple series. A lot of teams do that here in the area. Tell us what we're looking at and also the decision to say we might be running in IMSA, we might be running an open wheel, other championships. We're not going to separate folks so much. This is one team, one culture. Tell us about the layout, how it works to fit that ethos.
Sure. You'll see in the foreground here, this side, the side of the shop closest to us is the IndyCar side, so that's where all of our Indy cars are housed, despite having one old DPI or DP car there in one of the bays. But the foreground is all IndyCar. Out back is where our sports cars are housed. We have our two Cadillacs back there. One's a test car, one's a race car. And we'll go down and have a closer look at those here in just a minute.
And looking at how everybody's interacting, cars coming in and out, crew on both sides.
Yep.
Everyone's siloed a bit, right? They have their own cars to look after, but at the same time, a lot of intermingling.
Sure.
Frankly, that's where the success comes from, because anything you learn on one side can be applied to the other.
Absolutely. Our uprights, gearboxes, brakes, the learnings that we have from the IndyCar side transfer to sports cars. And honestly, a lot of the hybrid learnings over the last year and a half on the sports car have helped us on the IndyCar side as well. So definitely a one-team mentality. You'll also see in the shop here, hanging from the ceiling, our, we celebrate our wins and championships over this, mini series that we've run here in the past and presently.
So Mike, we have the layout here with your primary race car on the right. On the left, we have the test car. Love the color on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Some photos of that from recent testing. Folks went wild over. But tell us about the structure here.
Sure.
Obviously, we're standing up in the middle of the shop, perch here where your team managers, car managers and such can all work and collaborate. But tell us why you have this structured the way you do. It's by intent. It's not by mistake.
For sure. So each of the cars live in a car bay. Same on the IMSA side or the IndyCar side. After each event, the car comes back into its bay, its home. The cars come apart, parts get crack checked, rebuilt, and reassembled, but it's very critical on all of these race cars that we keep strict mileages and histories on everything. So with each car having its own home, it's easier to keep track of those things. What uprights, what suspension components come off of each car and go on that same car. So each of these bays are numbered, and there's a corresponding chassis that belongs in each car bay. So here you see, as you said, the yellow car is the car that we'll be racing this weekend at IMS. The pink car, we just completed a test at Road Atlanta last week with it in preparation for Petit Le Mans here in a few weeks.
And tell us about what's happening here on the right. We have some 3D scanning going on. IMSA does this regularly at every event, going through the technical inspection phase of the event, but also teams now are getting in the habit of doing this to make sure all the body work is compliant in the right space, making sure everything's legal. Tell folks about this process.
Sure. So yeah, it's a new part of IMSA scrutineering. WEC does the same thing. They 3D scan each of the cars to make sure they're compliant and that they match the 3D models that have been given to them by the manufacturers. We've always taken an approach, even before car scanning was a thing, we always try to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to passing tech. So in days before scanning, all of our cars went over the setup pad and we would measure floor heights and all the critical measurements. Now that scanning's part of the program, it's just another step in our prep. So when we arrive at the racetrack, we're ready to go. And we want to build compliant race cars.
No surprises.
Exactly.
Right? No surprises when you get to tech.
It's a race team's duty to present a legal car. So that's what we try to do. We try to do that beforehand rather than, some series you'll hear of cars going through tech 2, 3, 4 times before they're compliant. We want to roll up and be compliant straight out of the box. That way we can just get on with our weekend and try to make the race car fast.
So Mike, getting ready to load, head to move into Gasoline Alley at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 2 transporters that you bring. Tell us about what we're looking at here. You use them in different ways.
Sure. So this truck, we call the lunch truck because we eat lunch in it. This is where the catering's delivered. But also up in front of this truck is the engineering lounge. These GTP cars take a lot of engineering horsepower to run. So we have a conference room up there for Ganassi employees, but also Cadillac powertrain people, Delara people. We all sit together, debrief together, and try to learn about the car. The second transporter here houses pit equipment, all of our parts, spares, and has a driver lounge up front. Of course, you got to keep the drivers comfy and happy, and air conditioned, but not too much air conditioning because they're European. So it's much warmer in that lounge than where all of us are sitting in the engineering lounge. So all the pit equipment goes down the center aisle, and then the race car goes up top. As you can see, the lift gate folds down, the race car rolls in, and then the lift gate folds back up.
A lot of body work that goes in.
Yep,
contact happens on occasion at races. Got to make sure you have spares.
Exactly.
Suspension, everything needed, as if you're running 2 cars almost, right?
Exactly.
You want to have at least 1 full car's worth of spares. So
right.
Between pit equipment, the cars themselves, the spares, housing everybody, these are your true kind of mobile office spaces. Also, everything you need to make sure you're prepared in case there are any problems.
Exactly. This is our home away from home.
There's a lot of amazing rooms within Chip Ganassi Racing that we would love to see, but
right.
This is a factory program.
Right.
There's a lot of effort and time and money invested to try and beat your other GTP manufacturers.
Absolutely.
So not everything can be shown, but just know, there's amazing technology, amazing things going on, including this motion activated door. So since we have to be respectful of the privacy side of what you do, why don't we close on this, the famous Chip Ganassi Racing wall of cars. Immense open wheel background, obviously having just won yet another championship, but your sports car heritage, championship winning as well. So many Rolex 24 victories. Up top, we start with a great idea that Chip was behind, the
right.
Delta Wing, that our friend, the late Dr. Don Panos as well, championed.
Yep.
And we saw the Delta Wing race in IMSA for many years, but among decades of history in NASCAR and open wheel, you also want to pay tribute to your sports car history.
Sure.
Tell us what we're looking at.
These 2 cars are actual runners. I mean, the 02 car at the top, the Target car, ran at Monterey, the Historics, a few years ago. So these 2 sort of bookend our DP era. The Target car was our first Daytona 24 victory with Casey Mears, Dan Weldon, and Scott Dixon. The car at the bottom is our most recent overall Daytona victory.
I see Kyle Larson's name, Jamie McMurray.
Yep, and Scott Dixon was in that car as well. One beauty of having a team that races across many series with world-class drivers is that we're able to combine those for some of these endurance races. You know, we've had Alex Palou drive the car, Dixon, like you said, Kyle Larson and Jamie McMurray. Juan Montoya's driven these cars when he was driving for us in Cup.
So greatly appreciate that, whether it's futuristic ideas with the Delta Wing, Jim France and that concept for the Daytona prototype,
Sure.
the second generation of that with big wings and downforce and all kinds of great power, to the NASCAR history within the team, obviously the vast open wheel history. Make sure that you celebrate not just the trophies that you have to remember, but the cars that made them, that brought them, and the drivers. So Mike O'Gara, thank you so much for letting us see inside Chip Ganassi Racing, the Cadillac Racing factory program. Let's go do some endurance racing at IMS.
That's right.
Make sure you follow along with us on IMSA's official YouTube channel and follow IMSA Racing on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. We're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff with some pretty cool people with some pretty cool race cars. Visit IMSA.com to hear the action called live and download the official IMSA app to follow the timing and scoring information as the sessions take place.